Logical mathematical intelligence. It's 8:42 p.m. Everyone else has given up on the problem. But you're still staring at it, connecting dots no one else saw. You don't just like numbers, you trust them. You find comfort in logic, patterns, and rules that make sense. You're the one who rewrites a budget for fun, who can't stand when someone skips steps in an explanation, and who enjoys finding the flaw in a system, just so you can fix it. Your brain runs like a clean algorithm. Inputs, analysis, output. Science says this kind of intelligence activates parts of the left hemisphere of the brain, especially areas tied to reasoning, abstraction, and pattern recognition. It's what mathematicians, coders, and engineers rely on constantly. If you have this kind of mind, you're great at breaking down complex problems. You can make decisions based on evidence, not just emotion. You're probably the go-to person for anything involving logic, structure, or troubleshooting. In school, they called you smart. But really, you're a system thinker in a chaotic world. Think Einstein, engineers, analysts, strategists, coders, puzzle freaks. If your brain lights up when things click, this one might be you. Linguistic intelligence. Have you ever met someone who can talk their way out of anything? Or say what you were thinking, but better? That's linguistic intelligence in action. And if you've got it, words aren't just tools, they're your superpower. Picture this: a student in class who doesn't love math, doesn't care for group projects, but when it's time to write an essay, they light up. When they talk, people stop scrolling. When they argue, they win. That's because their brain is wired for language, reading it, writing it, shaping it, and playing with it. Science points to the left temporal lobe and Broca's area as the core regions responsible for this skill. People strong in this type of intelligence show high verbal fluency, advanced vocabulary, and strong auditory memory. And it's not just about talking a lot. It's about knowing how to say the right thing in the right way at the right time. If you have this gift, you're probably a storyteller. You learn by reading, writing, and talking things out. You can explain complex stuff so it finally makes sense to others. You're good with puns, metaphors, and catching subtle wordplay. And you're naturally persuasive. Not pushy, just precise. This type of intelligence shows up in writers, poets, journalists, lawyers, marketers, public speakers, and stand-up comedians too. Words are how you process the world. When you can name things clearly, you can understand them. And when you can explain ideas to others, you don't just know something, you own it. Spatial intelligence. Can you close your eyes and picture a room you've only seen once? Can you rearrange furniture in your mind before you even touch it? That's not luck. That's spatial intelligence. You see in pictures, your brain doesn't just take in the world, it maps it. You notice angles, symmetry, color, and space in ways most people overlook. You're the one who can glance at a blueprint, a sketch, or a messy room and instantly see what it could be. You think in 3D, you feel ideas visually, and you don't just imagine, you build. Spatial intelligence is tied to the right hemisphere of the brain, particularly areas like the parietal lobe, which processes visual spatial relationships. It's how we navigate, rotate objects mentally, and create visual art or design. People with strong spatial intelligence often excel at drawing, building, and visualizing things. They have a strong sense of direction, or at least never need GPS twice. They learn best with diagrams, maps, or video, and pick up photography, architecture, interior design, or even engineering with ease. You might be the person who sketches ideas before writing them or sees stories as movie scenes in your head. This kind of mind doesn't just look around, it imagines, rotates, redesigns, and brings ideas into form. If you've ever built something incredible in your head before touching a single piece, you're not just visual, you're visually intelligent. Bodily kinesthetic intelligence. You learn by doing, not by sitting still, not by staring at slides. You figure things out with your hands, your body, and your muscle memory. You're the person who taps their foot while thinking, who can't sit through a lecture but remembers everything once you try it yourself, who builds, tweaks, throws, lifts, flips, balances, repairs without overthinking. You don't just understand motion, you are motion. Science links this type of intelligence to the motor cortex, cerebellum, and areas of the brain that coordinate physical movement and procedural memory. The kind of memory that lets you ride a bike, swing a bat, or play an instrument without thinking. People with high bodily kinesthetic intelligence often learn fastest through hands-on practice. They pick up new sports or physical skills quickly, struggle with sitting still but thrive in physical challenges, have great coordination, timing, and spatial awareness, and feel more in tune with their body than most. It shows up in athletes, dancers, actors, surgeons, craftspeople, mechanics, martial artists, and even firefighters. This kind of intelligence is instinctive, responsive, and physical. It turns thought into movement, and movement into mastery. If you've ever learned more from trying something once than reading about it 10 times, you don't just move well. You think through movement. Musical intelligence. Some people hear music. You feel it. Before the lyrics even start, you already know the mood. Your brain speaks in beats. You hum without thinking, tap tables without realizing. You remember moments based on the song that was playing in the background. This isn't just taste, it's wiring. Studies show that people with musical intelligence have heightened activity in the right auditory cortex and the temporal lobe, and even parts of the brain linked to emotion and memory. Music for you isn't just sound, it's structure, math, emotion, and memory wrapped into one. People strong in musical intelligence often learn faster with rhythm, rhyme, or sound cues. They remember lyrics better than faces, feel emotionally charged by certain notes or instruments, and are drawn to instruments, singing, sound design, or production. You probably have playlists for every mood and hear harmonies where others hear noise. If music feels like your first language, if you hear the world in rhythm, you're not just musical, you're sonically intelligent. Intrapersonal intelligence. You don't always talk first, but you're always thinking. You watch your own thoughts the way others watch a movie, carefully, curiously, and quietly, noticing what's behind them, where they came from, and what they mean. This is intrapersonal intelligence, the ability to understand yourself on a level most people never reach. You ask the hard questions. Why did that trigger me? What do I actually want? What's driving my decisions right now? You feel things deeply, but you don't just feel them. You study them. Science ties this intelligence to the frontal lobe and default mode network. People high in this intelligence show strong metacognition, which is the ability to think about how they think. If you are strong in this type of intelligence, you might be comfortable with solitude. You might also be good at setting personal boundaries even when it's hard, and have strong instincts about your own needs, fears, or limits. This intelligence doesn't always show up in conversations. It shows up in decisions, in self-trust, in the ability to keep growing without burning out. You may not speak often, but when you do, you speak from depth because you know yourself. And that's a kind of intelligence no test can measure. Interpersonal intelligence. Ever walk into a room and feel the vibe before anyone says a word? Like you can sense tension, energy, or emotion almost instantly? That's not a vibe. That's interpersonal intelligence. Your brain is tuned into people, their tone, posture, micro-expressions, and energy shifts. You don't just listen, you read. Conversations, dynamics, group behavior, their data, and you process them in real time. Science shows this kind of intelligence is connected to the prefrontal cortex and mirror neuron system, the parts of the brain responsible for empathy, emotional regulation, and social decoding. If you're strong in this area, you probably can tell when someone's upset, even if they say they're fine. You know how to make others feel seen, heard, and understood, and you are the friend people go to for advice because you get it. You're emotionally strategic. You don't just speak well, you connect well. This kind of intelligence is essential for leaders, therapists, teachers, negotiators, managers, salespeople, and diplomats. You don't memorize people's names, you memorize their moods. If you've ever walked away from a conversation and knew more than what was said, you're not guessing. You're socially intelligent. Naturalistic intelligence. You're 7 years old. You just found a beetle in the backyard. Everyone else sees a bug, but you see a story. You watch it move. You study how its legs curve, how it freezes when the wind shifts. And you wonder, where does it go at night? That curiosity never left. Now you still notice the shape of leaves changing in early fall. You can spot a storm coming without checking your phone. You remember places by how the air felt, not just the street name. This is naturalistic intelligence. Not something you learned, but something that was always tuned in. You're a pattern tracker, a system observer. You make sense of life by looking outward at plants, animals, weather, textures, and light. Science shows that people with this intelligence have sharper sensory processing and stronger connections between the hippocampus and the parietal lobe. You may not crave data, but you feel details. And when you talk about nature, it's never just facts, it's connection. You probably learn by doing and touching and feel more alive outdoors than in. If you've ever felt more grounded in a forest than in a meeting, more alert in a thunderstorm than in a classroom, you're not distracted. You're wired differently. You don't just see the world, you interact with it deeply, instinctively, intelligently. More videos like this one are coming up soon. Subscribe and stay tuned.